that would be my daddy. Again, thank you for everything. Thank you for backing Border Patrol and ICE and backing these families. Thank you so much.
So beautiful. You know, I was thinking as you were saying that running again for a third time after having gone through what we went through the second time, which was so horrible. So much cheating, so much deception and viciousness, and you could see what they were going to do. And I'm here now, and it's a much more powerful term than my second term would be. And much more powerful. And one of the reasons is everybody sees how bad they were. And I had to go through, and I still do, fake stories, fake polls. And I had polls for the election that showed I was going to get swamped, and I won in a landslide. They were fake polls because polls are tough, you know, when you get a fake poll. I get them today. I saw one today that I'm at 40%. 40%. I'm not at 40%. I'm at much higher than that. I mean, I'd love to run against anybody. The real polls say you kill everybody. It wouldn't even be close. But you go through the fake polls, you go through the fake stories. And I said, you know, it was good because this is really a much more powerful term than I would have had if I had run, because it was just one of those things. There would be nothing to compare it to. And now they compare it to Biden and that horrible, horrible administration. And I mean it. It is more powerful. Our military is much more powerful. We rebuilt it mostly in the first term. Then they gave away a chunk of it. And as much as it was, it's very small relatively, Tom. But we gave it to the Taliban. Just walked out. We could have taken it with us. They said, oh, I think it's cheaper to leave the planes. Just put a little jet fuel and fly it to a neighbor or fly it right home. Sir, I think it's cheaper. I think we'll save money by leaving a $150 million jet on the runway. These people are crazy. But I said, and I've said to a lot of people, it's much better what happened. But not for you people, it's not. And then I go back and say, but I wish it didn't, because every one of your loved ones would be alive today. Everyone in this room, I think, maybe there's one where could have sneaked through during our term, but I don't think so. We had a very tough border. We solved it in 2016, and we had a very strong border. I would say nothing is as strong as what we have now, but we had a very strong border. We had a good border. We had a sane border. It was sane. And I say, I like this much better, much more respect. You know, you read about all these crazy shooters, but they only go after consequential presidents. They don't go after non-consequential presidents, you know. If you take a look, Abraham Lincoln, some big one. John Kennedy, in a certain way, was very consequential. He represented something very important. He was there for 1,000 days, as you know, the book, 1,000 days. But he was consequential. There was a glamour. There was something good for our country, right? But they consequential, and I was told that. I saw that the other day. They said they only go after consequential. So maybe I want to be a little bit less consequential. Can we hold it back a little bit, please, Tom? Can we just, nice and easy? Let's be a normal president for a little while. Because we had the greatest first term, I think, of any president in history. A lot of people have said that. Even radical left people have said that. And so it's, you know. But the one problem is that, and every time I say it, I go back to the one thing. I said, but we wouldn't have had 25 million people allowed to come into our country, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And those are the people that destroyed your lives. They destroyed your lives. They wouldn't be there. So I always say I like it better, but there's one thing I don't like better, and that's what they did. Because I think that's the single biggest problem. You know, he gave us inflation, highest inflation we've ever had. I solved that. Right now, inflation's at a very low number. How about gasoline? I was in Iowa, $1.85 a gallon. You know, I solved that. I did a great job with that. Prices are coming way down, and I'll get them down further. But, you know, Christ, no matter. By the way, if I came up with a cure for cancer, they would say, he should have done it years ago. There's not a thing I can do where these people are going to give me credit, and that's okay, because we won in a landslide, so the people understand. people understand. But the one thing that I regret about the election and the process, because it's a much bigger, more important, you look at what we're doing throughout the world, we're respected like we've never been before. But the one thing that I can't do anything about is that he allowed 25 million people, many of these murderers, drug lords, criminals, people from mental institutions. They emptied their mental institutions, Tom, is that right? All over the world, not just in South America. They emptied their jails, many of them from all over the world. Why? Why would we do this? And they walk in, nobody even asks for, like, do you have an identification? Do you have an ID? It's so crazy. You know, the mayor of New York, and he's a very nice person. I've met him, but his ideology is not too good. But we're having a massive snowstorm right now, and I heard that he's asked people to come out and help shovel the snow. Okay, so you get a shovel and you start shoveling, right? What the hell, you're not going to help too much, but you can help. And hello, darling, how are you? Noah, right behind you, look. My friend, right? Are you okay? Yes, you. Are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm doing very well.
Good. Good. Are your eyes okay?
Wednesday,
I gave her money to get her eyes fixed. A lot of money to get her eyes fixed. The doctor ripped me off, but that's okay. And when do you go?
Wednesday, I go for surgery. It was postponed because they said the grief caused me to have heart.
Will you get them done? It's an operation, but it's 100%, you know, it's great.
It's Wednesday.
Good. And you're going to have 20/20 vision. She's almost blind, cataracts. She's almost blind. And with one operation, that'll take a very short period of time. I hope you have a good doctor. He's an expensive doctor, top of the line, right? But you know what? You're going to have 20/20 vision, because I noticed you're wearing glasses. I saw you yesterday on television wearing glasses, and I said, well, but anyway. But, you know, speaking of your family, it would be a lot different right now, except for the election. So I always say, it's too bad that happened. And if I had it to do again, it's despite the tremendous job we're doing now, I wish it could have been the other way, because we wouldn't even be having this meeting right now. There'd be nobody. I wouldn't have gotten to know you, but it's gotten to know you under very bad circumstances, right? The worst circumstances. So one of those things. But the thing I can't understand is why the press isn't more supportive. They're so dishonest. The stories, the polls, they polled you. They say, oh, the angel moms. I think the angel moms are the finest people I've met. I mean, the angel moms and families and dads, but these are unbelievable people. Why are they so angry with angel moms? They had their child killed. Stories that are so horrible I'm not going to mention. A couple of people are in the room. What they did with the child after they murdered the child. It's not even, and these people are actually on the side of the criminal. I don't get it, Tom. Someday you're going to explain it to me, but I don't think you can either. It's crazy. Laura Wilkerson is another American mom whose 18-year-old son, Joshua was horribly beaten, tortured, and murdered by an illegal alien who went totally crazy. And just went to school. And I'd like to ask Laura to come up and say a few words about Joshua. Please, hi. Another one of my friends. One of my original friends, right?
Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Laura Wilkerson, and I want to thank everybody for their help in gathering us here, the American Border Story and the White House, and all of your helpers. I thank you for that. I met a man about 11 years ago who was running for office, and he sat with us a couple of days, and he watched as the tears rolled down my face as I told him the story of how our youngest son Joshua was brutally beaten, tortured, strangled to death, and his body set on fire. The man next to me was President Trump. He never, ever looked away from my pain. He looked me straight in the eye and he said, "I will never forget the story of your sweet son, and I will never give up fighting for the American family." I looked at him and I believed him. And here we are these years later, and you can tell all of the work he's done. He's never missed a day of fighting for the American family. I don't know if I've ever met a man who is more interested in this country and running his country and getting it back in shape. And I'm so grateful for what he does every single day. I can't even pretend to understand the spiritual battles that swirl around the office of the presidency and the man who owns that office. I would ask that God breathe a fresh breath of air through this administration so that he can calm those spiritual battles and allow our president to continue to do the hard work. Jesus works on my family every day, still healing us today. And I am just so incredibly grateful for the man who's in office, who never quits. He is sidelined so many times, but we know the man, Jesus, who can take care of that. And we pray today in his name that he will sweep through this country and make it right again. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, I just want to thank you. That's amazing. The words are so beautiful, so beautiful. I get introduced often, and I'm getting introduced by people. In many cases, they hate me. And they don't give me nice introductions like that. But all we're doing is the right thing. It's sort of simple, right? It's sort of simple, but not simple for you. And that's when I was running, actually. That was before I won. I didn't know if I was going to win or not. I was running against 17 politicians. You knew. That's nice. But no, I never forgot that. Jody Jones is a loving brother whose cherished sibling Rocky was killed by an illegal alien monster, real monster, who went on a deranged crime spree after being released from prison as part of a California sanctuary city policy. Jody, please come up. Thank you.